Hey there, so glad you're here with me today. I want to talk about something that I think a lot of us struggle with, maybe more than we'd like to admit. It's about loving yourself, really loving yourself. Not in that surface level, take a bubble bath and call it self-care kind of way, but in a deep, foundational way that changes how you move through the world. And I know that might sound a little cheesy or like something you'd see on a motivational poster, but stick with me here because I think this is one of those things that we all know we should do, but most of us have no idea how to actually do it. I've been thinking about this a lot lately because I've noticed this pattern in my own life and in the lives of people around me. We spend so much time trying to be loved by other people. We twist ourselves into shapes that we think will make us more lovable. We dim our light so we don't shine too bright and make someone else uncomfortable. We apologize for taking up space. We say yes when we mean no. We ignore our own needs because we're so busy attending to everyone else's. And then we wonder why we feel empty, why we feel like we're running on fumes, why we feel like we're not enough. And here's the thing that really gets me. We've been taught in so many subtle and not so subtle ways that loving ourselves is selfish, that it's vain, that it's something we should feel guilty about. We've been taught that putting ourselves first is wrong, that we should always be thinking of others, that our value comes from how much we give and how much we sacrifice. And listen, I'm not saying we shouldn't be kind and generous and considerate. But somewhere along the way, we got the message that caring for ourselves comes last, if it comes at all. I want to tell you about this moment I had a few years ago. I was in a relationship that wasn't working, and I remember sitting in my car outside my apartment, just crying. And I was crying because I felt so stuck. I felt like if I left, I would be selfish. If I chose myself, I would be the bad guy. I would be letting someone down. And I sat there thinking about all the ways I had made myself smaller in that relationship. All the times I had swallowed my words. All the dreams I had put on hold. All the parts of myself I had tucked away because they didn't fit into the version of me that this other person wanted. And in that moment, sitting in my car with tears running down my face, I realized something that sounds so simple but felt earth-shattering to me at the time. I realized that I was waiting for someone else to love me enough to make up for the fact that I didn't love myself. I was looking for external validation to fill this internal void. And it was never going to work. It couldn't work, because no amount of love from someone else can ever substitute for the love you don't have for yourself. That realization changed everything for me. It didn't happen overnight, and it wasn't some magical fix that made everything perfect, but it started me on this journey of actually learning what it means to love myself. Not just say it, not just post about it on social media, but actually do it. Actually live it. So let's talk about what that really means. Because I think a lot of us have this idea that self-love is about affirmations and face masks and treating yourself to something nice. And sure, those things can be part of it, but they're not the foundation. They're the decoration on top of something much deeper. Loving yourself means accepting yourself exactly as you are right now. Not the future version of yourself that's 10 pounds lighter or more successful or more organized or more whatever. The you that exists right now, in this moment, with all your flaws and quirks and messiness. It means looking in the mirror and not just seeing the things you want to change. It means acknowledging your mistakes without letting them define you. It means being gentle with yourself when you fall short, the way you would be gentle with a friend. And I know that's hard. Believe me, I know, we're so quick to beat ourselves up. We have this inner critic that's constantly running commentary on everything we do. She's harsh, that inner critic. She tells us we're not good enough, we're not smart enough, we're not pretty enough, we're not successful enough. She compares us to everyone else and always finds us lacking. She remembers every embarrassing moment, every failure, every time we didn't measure up. And we let her run the show. We let her voice be the loudest one in our heads. Learning to love yourself means learning to quiet that voice, or at least learning to not believe everything she says. It means developing a new voice, a kinder voice, a voice that speaks to you the way someone who truly loves you would speak to you. Because here's something I've learned. the way you talk to yourself matters. It shapes your reality. It shapes how you see yourself and how you show up in the world. I started practicing this thing where whenever I catch myself in negative self-talk, I stop and ask myself, would I say this to my best friend? And the answer is almost always no. I would never tell my best friend she's stupid or ugly or unworthy. I would never pick apart her body or her choices or her mistakes the way I pick apart my own. So why do I think it's okay to talk to myself that way? There's this quote I love that says, you've been criticizing yourself for years and it hasn't worked. Try approving of yourself and see what happens. And I think about that a lot. Because we have this idea that if we're hard enough on ourselves, we'll somehow become better. That we need to punish ourselves into improvement. But it doesn't work that way. You can't hate yourself into a version of yourself that you love. It just doesn't work. What does work is compassion. What works is treating yourself like someone worthy of love because you are. What works is recognizing that you're human and humans are imperfect, and that's okay. That's more than okay, that's beautiful. One of the biggest shifts for me was realizing that I didn't need to earn my own love. I didn't need to achieve something or look a certain way or be perfect to deserve my own kindness. I deserved it just by virtue of being alive, of being human. And so do you. You don't need to prove anything to yourself. You don't need to meet some standard or check off some list of accomplishments. You're worthy of your own love right now, exactly as you are. But here's where it gets tricky. Loving yourself isn't just about being nice to yourself in your head. It's about your actions. It's about the choices you make every single day. It's about how you treat yourself in the real world, not just in your thoughts. Loving yourself means setting boundaries. And I know boundaries have become this buzzword that everyone talks about, but there's a reason for that. Boundaries are how you protect your energy, your time, your peace. They're how you communicate to the world and to yourself that you matter, that your needs matter, that you're not a doormat or a people pleaser or someone who exists just to make everyone else comfortable. Setting boundaries is hard. It feels uncomfortable. It feels selfish, there's that word again, because we've been conditioned to say yes, to be accommodating, to not rock the boat. But every time you say yes when you mean no, you're betraying yourself. You're telling yourself that someone else's comfort is more important than your own. You're teaching people that your boundaries don't matter. And over time, that erodes your sense of self. It makes you feel resentful and exhausted and like you're living someone else's life. I had to learn this the hard way. I used to say yes to everything. Yes to social events I didn't want to attend. Yes to helping people move when I had my own stuff to do. Yes to phone calls that drained me. Yes to relationships that didn't serve me. And I told myself I was just being a good person, a good friend. But really, I was afraid. I was afraid that if I said no, people wouldn't like me anymore. That they'd think I was selfish or mean or not a team player. But here's what I discovered. The people who truly love you, the people who are worth having in your life, they respect your boundaries. They don't want you to sacrifice yourself for them. They want you to be whole and healthy and happy. And the people who get upset when you set boundaries, those are the people who were benefiting from you not having any. Those are the people who liked you better when you were making yourself smaller. And you don't need those people in your life. Learning to say no was one of the most loving things I ever did for myself. And it wasn't just about saying no to other people. It was about saying yes to myself. Yes to rest when I'm tired. Yes to my own dreams and goals. Yes to relationships that fill me up instead of drain me. Yes to spending time the way I want to spend it. Yes to being the person I actually am instead of the person I think I should be. Loving yourself also means taking care of yourself. And I don't just mean the surface level stuff, although that's part of it too. I mean really taking care of yourself, feeding your body food that nourishes it, moving it in ways that feel good, getting enough sleep, going to the doctor when something's wrong, taking your medication, drinking water. All those basic things that we somehow forget to do or convince ourselves don't matter. But it's more than that too. It's taking care of your mental health. It's going to therapy if you need it. It's developing coping mechanisms for stress and anxiety. It's creating a life that doesn't require you to escape from it. It's surrounding yourself with people who lift you up instead of tear you down. It's doing work that feels meaningful, or at least doesn't crush your soul. It's making time for things that bring you joy, not someday when you have time, but now, because your joy matters now. I think one of the biggest lies we tell ourselves is that we'll take care of ourselves later. We'll rest after this project is done. We'll start eating better next week. We'll pursue our hobbies when things calm down. We'll deal with our mental health when we have more time. But later never comes. There's always another project, another reason to put yourself last, another excuse for why now isn't the right time. Loving yourself means making yourself a priority now, not someday. Now, it means recognizing that you can't pour from an empty cup, and you can't live a full life if you're running on empty. It means understanding that taking care of yourself isn't selfish, it's necessary. It's what allows you to show up for the people and things you care about. It's what allows you to actually enjoy your life instead of just surviving it. Another piece of this that I think is really important is learning to trust yourself. Trusting your intuition, your gut feelings, your inner knowing. We've been taught to doubt ourselves so much, to second-guess our instincts, to look outside ourselves for answers. We ask everyone else what they think we should do instead of asking ourselves. We Google search our symptoms instead of listening to our bodies. We follow trends and rules and shoulds instead of tuning into what actually feels right for us. But you know yourself better than anyone else does. You know what you need. You know what feels right and what feels wrong. You know when something is off. You know what lights you up and what drags you down. You know. And learning to trust that knowing, to honor it, to act on it, that's a profound act of self-love. I can't tell you how many times I've ignored my intuition and regretted it. That gut feeling that told me not to take that job, not to date that person, not to trust that friend. I ignored it because it didn't make logical sense, or because I thought I was being paranoid, or because I didn't want to be difficult. And every single time, my intuition was right. Every single time, I wished I had listened to myself. Now I try to pay attention. When something feels off, I don't ignore it. When I get a strong feeling about something, I honor it. I don't always understand it in the moment, but I've learned that my intuition is trying to protect me, to guide me. And trusting it is trusting myself. Loving yourself also means celebrating yourself, acknowledging your wins, big and small, being proud of yourself, recognizing how far you've come. We're so quick to minimize our accomplishments and magnify our failures. We brush off compliments and dwell on criticism. We tell ourselves that what we did wasn't that big of a deal, that anyone could have done it, that we just got lucky. But you know what? You've done hard things, you've overcome obstacles, you've grown and learned and survived. You've had moments of courage and strength and resilience. And you deserve to acknowledge that. You deserve to be proud of yourself. You don't need to wait for someone else to validate you or celebrate you. You can do that for yourself. I started keeping a list of things I'm proud of. It sounds silly, but it's been really powerful. Whenever I do something that scares me, or I accomplish something I've been working toward, or I handle a difficult situation with grace, I write it down. And on the days when I'm feeling down on myself, when that inner critic is loud, I read that list. I remind myself of all the evidence I have that I'm capable and strong and worthy, because the evidence is there. We just forget to look at it. Now let's talk about comparison for a minute, because I think this is where a lot of us really struggle with self-love. We live in this world where we're constantly bombarded with images of other people's lives. We scroll through social media and see everyone else's highlight reels. We see their perfect relationships, their perfect bodies, their perfect careers, their perfect homes. And we compare our messy, complicated, imperfect lives to their curated feeds. And we always come up short. But here's the thing. Comparison is truly the thief of joy. It steals your contentment. It makes you focus on what you don't have instead of what you do have. It makes you feel inadequate and less than. And it's all based on a lie, because what you're comparing yourself to isn't even real. It's a carefully selected, filtered, edited version of reality. Loving yourself means getting off that hamster wheel of comparison. It means recognizing that your journey is your own, that you're not in competition with anyone else, that someone else's success doesn't diminish yours, that you can be happy for other people without making it mean something about yourself, that there's enough love, enough success, enough happiness to go around. I had to really work on this one. I used to see other people doing well and feel this pang of jealousy, this sense of being left behind. Why did they get that opportunity and not me? Why does everything seem to come so easily to them? Why am I struggling when they're thriving? But all that comparison did was make me miserable. It didn't motivate me or make me better. It just made me feel bad about myself. Now when I catch myself comparing, I try to redirect. I remind myself that I don't know what's going on behind the scenes for anyone else. I remind myself that everyone is fighting battles I know nothing about. I remind myself that my path is unique, and that's okay. I try to genuinely celebrate other people's wins without making it about me. And I focus on my own progress, on how far I've come, on what I have to be grateful for in my own life. Because here's what I've learned. You will never love yourself if you're constantly comparing yourself to others. You will never feel like enough if you're measuring yourself against someone else's yardstick. You have to define success and happiness and worth for yourself. You have to decide what matters to you, what you value, what kind of life you want to live. And then you have to honor that, even if it looks different from what everyone else is doing. Loving yourself also means forgiving yourself. This is a big one, and it's one that I think a lot of us don't talk about enough. We hold on to shame and guilt about things we've done in the past. We replay our mistakes over and over. We punish ourselves for choices we made years ago. We carry this weight of self-judgment that colors everything we do. But you can't move forward if you're dragging your past behind you. You can't grow if you're stuck in shame. You can't become a better version of yourself if you're constantly reminding yourself of who you used to be. Forgiveness isn't about condoning what you did or pretending it didn't happen. It's about releasing yourself from the prison of shame. It's about accepting that you did the best you could with the knowledge and resources you had at the time. It's about recognizing that you're not that person anymore, that you've learned and grown. I think about the things I'm ashamed of, the mistakes I've made, the people I've hurt, the ways I've failed. And I can either let those things define me, or I can learn from them and move on. I can either stay stuck in guilt, or I can forgive myself and do better. Because beating yourself up doesn't change the past. It just makes the present miserable. Forgiving yourself is an ongoing practice. It's not something you do once and you're done. It's something you have to choose over and over. Every time the shame comes up, every time you remember something you regret, you have to actively choose to forgive yourself. To remind yourself that you're human, that you're allowed to make mistakes, that your worth isn't determined by your worst moments. And here's something else that's really important. Loving yourself means letting go of who you think you should be and embracing who you actually are. We all have this vision of our ideal self. The person we think we're supposed to be. The person who has it all together, who makes all the right choices, who never struggles or doubts or fails. And we beat ourselves up for not being that person. But that person doesn't exist. That ideal is a fantasy. And chasing it is exhausting and demoralizing because you will never, ever reach it. There will always be something else to fix, something else to improve, some other way you're falling short. What if instead of trying to be someone you're not, you just embraced who you are? What if you accepted your quirks and your flaws and your weird interests and your imperfections? What if you stopped apologizing for being yourself? What if you recognized that the things you see as flaws might actually be what makes you interesting and unique and lovable? I spent so much of my life trying to mold myself into what I thought I should be. I tried to be more outgoing when I'm naturally introverted. I tried to be interested in things I didn't care about because I thought I should. I tried to be less emotional, less sensitive, less intense. I tried to shrink the parts of me that felt too much. And you know what happened? I felt miserable. I felt like I was wearing a costume that didn't fit. I felt disconnected from myself. It wasn't until I started accepting myself, really accepting myself, that things shifted. I stopped apologizing for needing alone time. I stopped pretending to enjoy things I didn't. I stopped trying to be less of who I am. And it was terrifying at first, because I was worried that people wouldn't like the real me. But the opposite happened. The people who really mattered loved me more because I was authentic. And the people who didn't like the real me, they weren't my people anyway. Loving yourself means giving yourself permission to be exactly who you are. It means recognizing that you don't need to change or improve or become someone else to be worthy of love. You're worthy right now. You're enough right now, just as you are. I want to talk about something else that I think is crucial, and that's the relationship between self-love and the standards you accept from others. Because here's the truth. How you treat yourself sets the standard for how others treat you. When you love yourself, when you know your worth, you don't accept crumbs. You don't settle for less than you deserve. You don't stay in relationships or friendships or jobs that diminish you. I used to accept so much less than I deserved because I didn't think I was worthy of more. I stayed in relationships where I was disrespected because I didn't respect myself enough to leave. I tolerated friends who were unkind because I didn't believe I deserved kind friends. I accepted low pay and bad working conditions because I didn't value my own skills and time. But when you truly love yourself, you raise your standards. Not in an arrogant way, but in a self-honoring way. You recognize that you deserve to be treated well. You deserve respect and kindness and consideration. You deserve to be in relationships where you're valued. You deserve to do work that pays you fairly and treats you well. You deserve friends who show up for you. And when you raise your standards, some people will fall away. Some relationships will end. Some situations will change. And that's okay. That's more than okay. That's necessary. Because you're making room for better. You're making room for people and opportunities that match your new standards, that honor who you are and what you bring. Loving yourself also means being willing to walk away from things that don't serve you, even if they're comfortable, even if they're familiar, even if leaving is scary. It means choosing your well-being over your fear of change. It means trusting that something better is possible, that you deserve something better. I think about all the times I stayed too long in situations that were hurting me because I was afraid of the unknown. I was afraid of being alone. I was afraid I wouldn't find anything better. I was afraid of disappointing people or letting them down or being seen as a quitter. But staying in those situations didn't make me brave or loyal or good. It just made me small. It made me betray myself over and over. Now I try to pay attention to how things make me feel. If a relationship consistently leaves me feeling bad about myself, that's information. If a job is crushing my spirit, that's information. If a friendship is one-sided, that's information. And I get to decide what to do with that information. I get to choose myself. I get to choose my peace, my joy, my well-being. And so do you. Here's something else I want you to know. Loving yourself doesn't mean you're always happy or confident or sure of yourself. It doesn't mean you never have bad days or moments of doubt. It doesn't mean you suddenly have it all figured out. Self-love isn't about perfection or constant positivity. It's about being there for yourself through all of it. The good days and the bad days, the wins and the losses, the moments of strength and the moments of weakness. It's about being your own safe place, your own soft landing, your own biggest supporter. It's about treating yourself with compassion when things are hard instead of beating yourself up. It's about encouraging yourself instead of tearing yourself down. It's about being patient with yourself as you grow and learn. I still have days where I don't like myself very much, days where I mess up or say the wrong thing or feel like I'm not enough. But the difference now is that I don't let those moments define me. I don't spiral into shame. I acknowledge that I'm having a hard time and I'm gentle with myself. I remind myself that having a bad day doesn't make me a bad person. That making a mistake doesn't erase all the things I've done right. That struggling doesn't mean I'm weak. Loving yourself is a practice, not a destination. It's something you have to choose over and over every single day. Some days it's easy, some days it's hard, but it's always worth it. And I want to be really honest with you about something. Learning to love yourself might mean outgrowing some people. It might mean changing in ways that make others uncomfortable. When you start valuing yourself, when you start setting boundaries, when you start making choices that honor your needs and desires, not everyone is going to like it. Some people are going to miss the old you, the version of you that was easier to deal with, that didn't challenge them, that made them feel comfortable. And that's their issue, not yours. You're not responsible for managing other people's feelings about your growth. You're not required to stay small so others feel big. You're allowed to change. You're allowed to evolve. You're allowed to become the person you're meant to be, even if that person is different from who you used to be or who others want you to be. This can be really painful. It was for me. I lost friendships when I started changing. I had family members who didn't understand. I had people tell me I'd changed, and they didn't mean it as a compliment. But you know what? I had changed. I'd changed because I was finally becoming myself. And the people who truly loved me, they adapted. They grew with me. They celebrated my growth even when it was uncomfortable for them. The people who couldn't handle the new me, they were never really my people in the first place. They were attached to a version of me that wasn't authentic, that wasn't whole. And as much as it hurt to lose them, it made room for better relationships. For people who loved me for who I actually am, not who they wanted me to be. So if you're on this journey of learning to love yourself, and you're finding that some relationships are changing or ending, I want you to know that's normal. That's okay. That doesn't mean you're doing something wrong. It means you're doing something right. It means you're choosing yourself. And that's exactly what you should be doing. I also want to talk about the difference between self-love and selfishness, because I know this is something a lot of people struggle with. We've been taught that thinking about ourselves, prioritizing ourselves, is selfish. But there's a huge difference between self-love and selfishness. Selfishness is taking without regard for others. It's putting your needs above everyone else's all the time. It's lacking empathy or consideration. Self-love, on the other hand, is recognizing that you have needs and that those needs matter. It's taking care of yourself so you can show up better for others. It's setting boundaries so you don't burn out or build resentment. It's filling your own cup so you have something to pour out. You can't be there for anyone else if you're depleted. You can't give what you don't have. And constantly sacrificing yourself doesn't make you noble or good. It just makes you exhausted and resentful. Taking care of yourself isn't selfish. It's necessary. It's healthy. It's what allows you to live a full, rich life and to be truly present for the people you care about. As we start wrapping up here, I want to leave you with a few thoughts. Learning to love yourself is one of the most important things you'll ever do. It will change your life in ways you can't even imagine right now. It will change how you see yourself, how you treat yourself, how you allow others to treat you. It will change what you accept and what you walk away from. It will change what you think is possible for your life. But it's also hard. It requires you to unlearn so much of what you've been taught. It requires you to go against the grain, to disappoint people sometimes, to prioritize yourself when you've been taught to prioritize everyone else. It requires you to be brave and vulnerable and honest with yourself. It requires you to face parts of yourself you might have been avoiding. It requires patience and practice and persistence. But I promise you, it's worth it. You're worth it. You deserve to love yourself. You deserve to treat yourself with kindness and compassion. You deserve to take up space. You deserve to have your needs met. You deserve to be happy. You deserve to live a life that feels good to you, not just looks good to everyone else. So start today. Start now. Start small if you need to. Say one kind thing to yourself in the mirror. Set one boundary. Do one thing just for you. Forgive yourself for one thing you've been holding on to. Celebrate one win. Trust yourself on one decision. Take one step toward the life you actually want instead of the life you think you should want. And then tomorrow, do it again. And the next day. And the day after that. Because learning to love yourself isn't a one-time event. It's a daily practice. It's a choice you make over and over. Some days will be easier than others. Some days you'll feel like you're making progress, and other days you'll feel like you're back at square one. But keep going. Keep choosing yourself. Keep treating yourself like someone worthy of love, because you are. You are worthy of love just as you are, right now, in this moment. Not when you lose weight or get the promotion or find the relationship or accomplish the thing. Right now, you don't need to earn it. You don't need to prove it. You are worthy simply because you exist. And I hope you start to believe that. I hope you start to see yourself the way you deserve to be seen. I hope you start to treat yourself the way you deserve to be treated. I hope you start to love yourself the way you've been waiting for someone else to love you. Because that love, that self-love, it's the foundation for everything else. It's what makes everything else possible. Thank you so much for spending this time with me today. I hope something I said resonated with you. I hope you feel encouraged to start your own journey toward deeper self-love. And I hope you remember that you're not alone in this. We're all figuring it out together. Take care of yourself. You deserve it.